Hello everybody. Thank you again for being here. I know we've gone through a lot of really great presentations and now it's our turn. I want to start off by asking you a question. Just think to yourself, don't have to answer out loud. Have you ever been to an event, like a party or a happy hour at work, and you find yourself not exactly connecting with the people around you? You're clinging to your phone for dear life, scrolling through social media, or even worse, you're in a scenario where there are people around you who you know, but maybe you're struggling to connect with them a little bit more. It feels like something that you don't want to tackle. Struggling socially is not an uncommon problem, and I know a lot of you did not have to think twice when I posed that question. You might even be feeling that way right now, even while you're sitting there listening to me as we're doing this presentation. And that is a topic that we wanted to address head-on with Wallflower. My name is Kara. I was the project manager and co-content manager on this project. I'm Alex Poole. I was the head user researcher and user interface designer.
I'm Samiha. I'm a front-end development and interactive designer. And I'm Paul. I was a back-end developer and I helped tie front-end together.
And one teammate who couldn't be with us today, Samiha. She was the project and co-content manager, and she also worked on DiGerolamo. So the problem is this: how can we assist users in managing their social anxiety in a way that does not require long-term commitment? There's a lot of resources online for dealing with social anxiety, whether it be therapy, online tools, even aromatherapy if you're into that. But the truth is that there's no one-size-fits-all solution to this problem. And a lot of times this requires resources to explore that, whether it's money or time. And people don't always have time to shop around for the resources that are going to help them out the most. So we set out to investigate free and accessible resources that would help people out with these issues the most. But more than just people, bringing it in a little bit more specifically, in a article that was published by the National Institute of Mental Health, there was a reported 72.2 million cases of reported anxiety disorders globally. These are just the ones that are reported, diagnosed. And this percentage has gone up 25.6% since the pandemic. This is not an uncommon scenario. Even some of us on the team have struggled with it, and we acknowledge it as we're working on this problem. So initially when we started this, we were looking for what is an escape for people. But once we started digging deeper and deeper, we realized that we can provide more than just an escape. We can provide support, and that's what we set out to do.
I am stronger than my anxiety, and I can overcome any challenge.
In a world filled with social complexities, sometimes you need a little extra support. Get support when you need it most with Wallflower.
So with a typical project, you start by talking to your users, but we immediately discovered some ethical obstacles. When it comes to the sensitive nature of this topic, there are serious ethical concerns and requirements if you end up doing original psychological research. So we tried reaching out to the Drexel psychology department. We could not secure a long-term partner for this project. So we had to be very careful and instead resolved to limit the sensitive personal data we collected from our users, especially in identifying information, as well as consider our users in our design. Users that can be easily overwhelmed, there's more of an X factor there. We had to purposely keep things simple and assume users might have a lower than typical mental load to understand and navigate our app. So instead, to define our problem, we turned to lots of online medical research throughout our entire process. You'll see as we go through our design, lots of these sources and things are embedded throughout so every user can understand what's going on. To define social anxiety, we found a list by the Mayo Clinic specifically that had exact lists of pain points, habitual causes, as well as problems and consequences and symptoms of social anxiety. And these are what we brought to our users, so we were not defining a new mental health condition by accident. As a second pillar of research, we studied our competitors. We found several apps across varying fields, but all of them either needed payment for premium features, planned for long-term use like therapy apps, or most of them focused on just one feature, such as sounds or meditations, or just a chatbot. And not all of those work for all users. In our data, lots of users tried using one or several different apps and never stuck with them because it did not do enough for them. Then, as our third pillar, we talked to our users. Using our clear, safe, standardized criteria, we said, here's a list of symptoms and causes and also all those features that we come up with, like address come up with. What is social anxiety to you? And we found our users are people like this. Based on trends in our data, users like Lauren have high anxiety, they want to keep calm. Panic attacks keep them isolated, and they want tools to self-soothe and emergencies for it. Users like Darla struggle specifically with public speaking, a huge outlier bubble inner trend. They want solutions, like affirmations to build confidence and articles to understand anxiety better. And users like Barry, who have average to low anxiety, but still struggle to meet people. They're willing to go to parties and social events, but don't really know what to do from there. And they like features like icebreakers to connect with strangers. With the three pillars combined, we made a massive affinity map, came together as a team, and running our criterion through technical feasibility, time scope, and user interest, we decided what Wallflower would be. So all of that research and analysis culminated into what we are proud to call Wallflower. Our proof of concept is a web app that groups the most requested features from our audience into 7 different features. That's all included into one hub. So Wallflower was to help ease your mind with features like affirmations, icebreakers, soothing sounds, meditative exercises, journaling, puzzles, and art. You talked about a little bit earlier how it's important for people that there's no one-size-fits-all solution. So people need to save the options that work best for them. So what we did is not only does each category where there's listings have a filter at the top so that people can filter by category, but there's an entire save page so people can save the content that helps them the most and be able to access it easily when they're for it.
Speaking of accessibility, we know that the feelings of anxiety can be difficult to manage, and sometimes you don't have the time to think about what you want to do when you're in a state of high anxiety. So for this, we created an SOS page that links to external health hotlines that you could call or text based on the number that is there. We've also given some of our choices for the top anxiety soothing elements of our app from people that are like in a crisis situation. And we're really proud of the extensive research that has gone into our product. For our meditations, soothing audio, and articles have been thoroughly researched and sourced from accredited sources. And most importantly, we want to make sure that our users have access to this information too. So wherever possible, we made sure to include links to our sources and additional information so that they can get additional information about their anxiety and how to better help with it. And as we've learned from our affinity map, there are so many different resources available. So if people are looking to use Wallflower as a sort of stepping stone to further their understanding of their anxiety condition, that is also a possibility.
So the evolution of our design, we have been working on that project for 6 months. We have written the evolution of the design, but overflowing into big clean layout. We create a series of low, middle, and high fidelity wireframe to explore a layout that was best for our users. Once we had the user test and approve our high fidelity layout, we proceed to development Wallflower as an app. So, notable design points. One important design feature is our transition from refined category structure to straightforward. We redesigned our navigation, making it easier than ever for user to locate what they need at. With our streamlined approach, user can easily navigate across material, increasing engagement and satisfaction. Another change we made was our color scheme. One exterior of the yellow, blue, and green. Green simplified to a simple, showing shade of green with light and dark. What were the results? The visual solid experience that improved readability and knowledge, resulting in greater usability and brand identity. So once again, when the user tests and approves our high-fidelity layout, we proceed to developing Wallflower as an app.
And in our development cycle, not only did we want to have a functional prototype that would be usable for our presentation, we wanted it to be usable enough for a real-time test to measure the impact that our app has on our audience. So for this, we decided to push forward with CSS, JavaScript, and PHP to develop our app because it's our most familiar set of framework languages, and we had a lot of content to include from databases. And because of that large amount of content, we needed to make sure our pages were all componentized with similar sorts of structures that could use the same functions throughout to load content. First, we wanted to have our data structure set up, figuring out how best to introduce our data content. We developed PHP to load in the raw data, began debugging to see where the issues lie, applied styles to make it look uniform to our design, then pushed changes to production. And then once we had one feature laid out, we were able to replicate this process for the rest of our cards on the main page. And in the future too, if we want to add more content, more features, we could follow that same sort of system and add it to our stack. And every element that could be saved or filtered routes through the same two save and filter scripts, so that it uses dynamic variables. So any type of database that we have could work exactly the same. And we do have a lot of bookmarks and filters on each of the applications, each of the sections of our app. And instead of going more into like the coding and how it actually functions, let me just show how it looks in actual production. Start on this. Let's first go to our affirmations up top. We'll generate an affirmation for you. You can refresh it if you don't like the one that's currently there, or you could use the bookmark to save it. It will be lit up if it is saved. And you see there, you can click it and it will update. If you want to view only your saved ones, you could switch to the Save tab and continue to filter through your saved ones. Icebreakers works the exact same way, but instead pulling from our list of icebreaker content instead of our daily affirmations. It also has its own saved page. Now we go to the sounds. You can see that filter up at the top. This allows you to filter through all the different types of audio that we have listed in our database. You can select multiple. You can deselect them all, and it will go back to all of them. If you go to the individual gate, you can see there's your audio list. You can also save it from the top. Each of those bookmarks routes through the same functionality and affect the database. Here's our example of adding more information for our user to understand the type of audio, and you can go to learn more to read more about how binaural audio affects social anxiety, etc. You could also save from the card itself, the listing. Then we go to our meditations. We also have that same sort of category listing. And this will pull up an iframe with the video of the meditative exercise, which you could follow, with more information down below about how it works. And then we have our list of articles, which has bigger cards that fit for larger titles, but can also be filtered in the same way. And if you want to read the original article, we have the link there, but we have a breakdown summary down below with each paragraph broken out to explain what it's all about. And all of these work with separate databases, but the same sort of functions. We also have a puzzle function that Tony was really nice in building out. Same sort of filtering. If we click into one puzzle, we choose this one. We have all the puzzle pieces down below. If I want to save this one, same bookmark. You could toggle on and off the background to get to see if you can follow the guideline. I'm going to zoom through the completion of the puzzle to show that it also has code to register when you've completed it correctly. It says you did it, great job. We could refresh and restart if we'd like. will clear your kind of puzzle. And then lastly, we have a space where you could write your own journals to keep track of your dates. There's nothing there yet. You can add a new one there. Add yourself a title. And then you could add your text. And then when you hit submit, it will write to the journal database. This is secure encrypted data that is unique to each user that others cannot access by changing the URL. There, if you want to read your data, if you go to the edit, you can change the value, and it will also write and update the information if you add some more. And if you want to delete your journal entry, you can click into it and hit the delete button. There'll be a confirmation at the top. And yeah, so those are our main content pages. And then here's the save page that lists every piece of data that you saved from the app, which is stored using global cookies. That way you don't have to make an account. And as you want to filter based on the different type, you can select all of them there. And then here, last is our SOS page with the crisis text lines up top. And then at the bottom is our free suggestions for the most media relievers. So that is our app in its entirety.
So we had to put some features for time that we would love to revisit later. First, mood tracking. We had this integrated into the journal entries. However, asking that user to put in the extra data felt like a lot of work we didn't feel was justified. If we had more time, we'd love to support it with full analytics report and content curation, basically referring to give the users additional help to make that work.
And if we additionally had more time to do research on separate frameworks, maybe we choose something like Stealth to push forward and increase the efficiency of loading the amount of data that we have.
Yeah. Then as in this last week, we've run a live field test, and I'm happy to report based on our first data this morning. We have a tester who through the week has not had access to the app, and to the week have had access to the app. And the user without the app has had consistent anxiety frequency. The user with the access to the app has reduced by 29%. So it's not much. We'd love to get more data on that, but it's also finals week. So we're still waiting on some responses. It's chaotic for everyone, but it's a good sign that we're hopeful for on the right track. So putting together Wallflower was a big challenge for us on this team. We think that with further development, it can provide further support for people who really struggle with this and possibly even lay the groundwork for more apps of this variety that provide more specified mental health for the particular struggles that they're in. At the end of the day, we want people to know that it's okay to get help, and we're proud to have built this trellis to help our Wallflowers crowd. Thank you.